Yeah, we'll make a decision hopefully later this afternoon on tomorrow. It doesn't look good. I know softball already moved their game. I think the key is finding the right place on the schedule to reschedule. It's a game like I want to play, from a RPI standpoint, from a chance to get better standpoint. They're a great team. So we'll kind of navigate that this afternoon. As far as the weekend, I mean, it's really not any different than we talked about yesterday. I think on the internal character part of the team and building a sound culture, which is really important when you start out in your first year. I mean, if the competitive effort, through the game yesterday, when things weren't going good, I think says a lot about our players. So that's takeaway number one. Takeaway number two is we have to continue to move forward and kind of get to the next thing. And what that means is improving. I think there's pieces of that, from a personnel standpoint. It's learning our team a little bit better on the mound and how to set guys up. Again, I think we did everything we could from a pitching matchup standpoint this weekend. And, a lot of guys came through. I'm sure Bill would know better than I if you check the record for stranding opponents' runners in a 3-game series. I bet that would be up there. I don't know. Yesterday, yeah, I would have even thought it would have been more than that. So that was good. Again, the competitive effort of the pitchers. I think sorting out what guys can handle and what they can't. I think everybody can contribute in some form. I think we're kind of, like I said yesterday, back to the drawing board on that. But I mean, they gave us a chance to win every game. I mean, you're going into the 8th or 9th, tied or a 1-run game, 3 games in a row. So against a team that I think is a lot better offensively than maybe they've shown to this point or given credit for. So on that side, I mean, want to play better defense as a whole. I think it's an across-the-board issue. I don't think we've had anybody, with maybe the exception of Dylan Cruz, was maybe the only guy that comes to mind that hasn't made some sort of defensive mistake. So it's just a collective effort to improve that side of it. Offensively, I'd give us a good, not great, kind of grade. You kind of expect that, ramping up the quality of the pitching that we saw. But I think there was some marked improvements in the at-bats yesterday, particularly with 2 strikes. We were much better than we were the night before, obviously, for a number of reasons. So we'll continue to foundationally make that a key point of emphasis, which it's not like it's not. I mean, that's kind of at the heart of what we do offensively. So those are probably the main takeaways.
Don't want to call it a sigh of relief, but was there kind of like a rejuvenated feeling yesterday after kind of pulling that one out, avoiding that sweep? Obviously, you guys were kind of in similar positions the first 2 nights, and then you were able to kind of flip the script a little bit there at the end yesterday. Good
question, Glenn. I think they were really disappointed on Saturday night. So I think it's just more of like, hey, we're disappointed we didn't come through on Saturday night, and excited that we did. I don't think relief's not the right word. It just from my feeling standpoint, I don't have a problem with the competitiveness at this point. There's a few times, and it's part of my job, where you got to grab them in the dugout and go like, hey, this is what needs to happen now. And I feel like they've responded. I mean, we score almost every time that happens, and I'll do it 9 innings a game if I have to. I just don't think it should have to be that way. And that's just part of learning the importance of every pitch and staying in the moment and trying to win innings as they come. And we've got growing up to do. And that's just, I said that before the season had started, or there was any win or any loss. And so some of the struggles, having done this for 20 years, are not surprising to me, and we're addressing them all the time, trying to be on the front end of them. So there's not what I would call expensive experience, and try to make it as inexpensive as you can, but it's unavoidable in some ways, shapes, and forms. So I think they were excited to win. I think they competed hard, as I said, but I thought they did on Friday and Saturday also. It's the baseball and the execution part of things that we just constantly have to strive to be better at.
Do you have like ideal pitch counts for these relievers? I know that you said like Riley Cooper was able to go in all 3 games. I don't know if like, how many they can throw and.
Yeah, no, we're on all of that. I mean, Jason and I are like right together on everything. And it's a daily operation. It has to be for 2 reasons. Like the type of staff that we have right now. Like we don't have a first round or second round draft pick on this pitching staff for this draft or the next draft right now. It's not there. So from a personnel standpoint, we have to, and that could change. Like I want to be very clear about that. There's some guys that have talent, but we have to be on top of having the game set up correctly. And I actually don't mind it at all because I think it gets a good sense of team and guys can make a good positive contribution. But then the other layer of that is how much did they throw the day before? What does that do for the availability of them the next day or the day after that? And then in tomorrow night's game, okay, who's available for that and not? Because, I mean, every game is important to me. So, like, if we have we're going to use our best available guys to pitch tomorrow night if we have a game tomorrow night. So I think it's different. You have to know the pitcher and what they can handle. There's guys on our staff that do not bounce back well, and so they need 3 days as opposed to 2 days. If you use them in the weekend, they're probably done, at some point. And then there's guys like Riley pitched 3 times, and his great effort yesterday. Eric pitched twice. I think he threw either 22 or 26 on Friday. So he could have been available Saturday, but it was best to sit him there. And it's a lot easier to go from like 20 to 35 or 40 that he did yesterday. It's really difficult to go big pitch count to lower. And we benefited from that yesterday because they used Palish up to 50 pitches or something like that, and he wasn't quite as sharp yesterday. And so it's something we have to pay attention to.
If the game does get moved or canceled, how do you plan on spending that day or time?
Well, we're going to practice tonight. It's in our best interest. We got to move forward to do that. And I like giving Mondays off, but you have to know the psychology of your team, where they're at, and it'll be good for us to get back out on the field this evening. And then we would probably take the off day tomorrow. And then I got to get with Coach Burrows. And again, we'll get that out as fast as we can. I think it's too early to make a call, especially with them not traveling until tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we'll either play or practice, and then Thursday we'll travel to Florida and practice there.
You have an update on how Alex is progressing? Or
I'll be honest, he's taken great BP. Swing looks good, moving around fine. I did not talk to him yesterday about how he was doing. He's a tough kid. I think physically he's one of the more tougher-minded guys on the team. He certainly wants to get back and play. We definitely need him. I was really proud of Tyler this weekend. Had the bad play on Saturday with the strikeout that hurt. But, he did hit a couple home runs, huge hit on Saturday night. And yesterday, that was a big load. Those are 4-hour games, and, we're having high pitch count innings. And he really, what I would just call chiefed it out from about the 3rd or 4th inning to the finish line yesterday and caught a really good game. So I'm really proud of him for that.
You mentioned, you're not surprised that, some of these defensive errors are happening. And, I think the first game they came apparent was Louisiana Tech, and now we're a couple weeks in. When do you realize, when is there a switch that says this is a problem, or is it
well, no, let me clarify. I didn't say defensive issues. I don't think I did. I said issues that come up in a college baseball season, coaching long enough, they're not as much of a surprise to me. I wasn't necessarily speaking about the defensive issues. Fundamentally, I told the team, our path to Omaha, which is where we want to go, will be to play defense. That will be the path of this team to have a chance to do that. So we modified things. Again, when you have a bad error that is as consequential as the 9th inning on Saturday was, it really magnifies it. Until that play, the 6 games prior, we had mishandled one play in the infield. Yeah. And so not that it's okay, but we're looking at kind of a bigger picture thing. And is there a 2 or a 3 on the board? I mean, the side spinning ball that Mikhail picked up yesterday, I mean, it was an error. I mean, he's got to let it go. So there's some of it is like baseball feel. You know what I mean? The play with Jack yesterday, it's trying to. It's a great runner in Kaler, and he barehanded it and had to throw on a run and threw it over his head. So again, it's all encompassing. Like I said, outside of Dylan, everybody's kind of made a mistake. So I don't have an answer other than work. It doesn't matter if it's confidence or not. Like they have to get over that if that's an issue for a player. I really believe. We have a very positive coaching staff. I think we have an analytical coaching staff, and what we've done from Baylor. Baylor's a game to me that's one that'll stay with me for a long time. Like from that point forward, we have adjusted a little bit of how we're doing a few things. I do think that it's helped, and we got some more exposure to some difficulties of catch play this weekend that hurt us. And so we'll go back to the drawing board just as we do. It's no different than if you're struggling with run blocking or pass blocking and offensive line. My guess is Coach Kelly would adjust some things to help that group. And then there's an element of guys can do it or they can't. And, there's no free agency in the middle of the season. So our choice is to modify and coach them. So that's what we have to do. And we've been doing that, and we'll continue to do that.
Saw some of Josh Pearson this weekend, and Gio also in the outfield. What are those two bring to this lineup, and do you see them playing even more of a role, and Jacob kind of settling into that third base role?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's unfair to all of them to pigeonhole that. I think it's a day-to-day decision. I mean, we changed lineup an hour before the game yesterday because Gavin couldn't play. Right. We have a lot of that going on here. It's like I feel bad for Bill. Like I'll give him a lineup and then I got to change it because the trainer comes and says something's up with somebody. It's kind of strange. So sorry about that, Bill. In order, I think Gio's doing a great job. I think he fits the dynamic of the team offensively well if he's doing what we need him to do. I think he's been as committed and bought in as any player on the roster to what we're trying to do, and I think his maturity showed in that, and not being a focal point of what we were doing early, but staying engaged and has been ready for his opportunities. And he was a large reason that we won yesterday. He was a huge reason we got back in the game on Saturday night. Josh Pearson, I think, is a superstar in the making. I want to get him in there. Braden got off to a pretty good start for us, so he's got a lot of the opportunities that maybe Josh would. And that's baseball, and it's a place like LSU. You should have more than 9 guys that you can play. But I'm very confident. We hit him 5th the other night in a conference game that we wanted to win, and I did it with full confidence that he could come through. So I think Jack, I like having Jack in there. I think he's a good competitor. He started a nice double play for Mikhail, which that was a key point in the game, and that's why I went out to the mound in the first inning, is just to help Mikhail kind of get set for hey, this is where we need to be right now, and we need to get the ball down in the zone and don't try to do too much with one pitch. And that double play was a huge play, because if you're chasing 4 right there, that's an entirely different game. So it was a good job by Jack. He made another nice play. I don't know if he had any hits, but I think he gives you competitive at-bats. So, again, it's more of a day-to-day situation. I have faith in all of those guys. So, yeah.
So A&M was kind of putting some creative, defensive shifts out there. Is that something that you might do depending on the opponent?
Yeah, well, we do. We do it. There's a lot of work that goes into setting up a pitch plan, placing the defense, how to approach a opposing pitcher, how to set the lineup based on the starter and what scenarios you could get out of the bullpen. None of that is overlooked.
What do you know about
Well, I mean, it's been one of the most, if not the most consistent program in college baseball, over the last 12 to 15 years. Hunter Barco, the Friday starter, I'm sure he's projected to be a first-round pick. I haven't watched much of him yet. And then Jed Fabian went in the second round and did not sign. That doesn't happen very often with college players. They always have good pitching. They have some versatility in that, the guys that will give you different looks. And this is peripheral stuff that I've seen so far. New ballpark, anxious to get over there. Never been there. Another team that I haven't never played. So they were in Omaha one of the years we were in Omaha. Top 5 team. So I'm really looking forward to this series.
Any updates on Cade Veloso or Javen Coleman?
Yeah, Cade took batting practice on the field yesterday. Props to him for doing everything he can to try to find a way, back to the field. I still think that's a ways away. And, Javen, I think, has a great future, and he's not close to pitching right now and probably won't be for some time.
If you do play the Louisiana Tech game, do you know who you're throwing?
No. It's like I said yesterday. I mean, it's TBA, and again, I'm making life really hard for Bill, and good gift certificate for a steak or something. I don't even think we can wait till the end of the season, but it is what it is, and it's not bad. When we get to the postseason, then we won't be announcing pitchers in the postseason either. So it's kind of where we're at.
I know you don't want to speculate, but is a return for Veloso possible?
I think so. I think so. I mean, it's a tough injury, and I've got a highly motivated kid that wants to be a part of this, and so credit to him, for that. I was kind of the mindset maybe I should just get it taken care of and have the surgery right now, but he wants to try to make it back by the end of the year. So, never gonna, I think it's a great character quality. He's trying to do that.